Good morning, Team Alabama. We're going to begin reading Chapter 1 of Stuck in Neutral. Chapter 1 is Stuck in Neutral. This author is Terry Truman. And remember, when you read, our purpose in reading is for you to get to be a better reader. So this year, you're going to start a Google Doc. You're going to title it Stuck in Neutral at the top, 50 Facts. And then after your 50 facts, somewhere down a little ways further down the page, you're going to write 10 questions, and then you're going to write 10 vocabulary words as you come across words that you don't know. And I'll kind of stop you and clue you in as to when you need to write. But our goal this year is for you to become a better reader and a better writer. And the only way for you to be a better reader is for you to read more. So each day we'll read a lot, we'll write some, and we'll work on our skills or our standards. And we'll do that by taking a Socrative each day. And that helps you with the standards and the skills that we're working on. So Stuck in Neutral, Chapter 1, is where we're going to begin. You need to go ahead and go on your Chromebook to epicreads.com, and you'll follow along each day in your book or on your Chromebook as we read. You'll have two tabs open, one for your Google Doc where you'll share that Google Doc and those facts with me each Friday, and then the one where you're reading along with me each day as we read Stuck in Neutral. So your job is to follow along and write facts, and that's how you get to be a stronger reader. You ask yourself, okay, what are some new things that I've learned in this story? And then you write those as facts. And then your mind's continuing to think at all times, what else would I like to know about this story? And as you think of those things, then you write those as the questions. So Chapter 2, go ahead and find it on Epic Reads, www.epicreads.com, or on 24symbols.com, or on scribd.com, scribd.com. Okay, any of those locations you can find Stuck in Neutral by Terry Truman. Chapter 1. My name is Sean McDaniel. My life is like one of those good news, bad news jokes. Like, I've got some good news and some bad news. Which do you want to hear first? In the jokes, it's always the good news first. So here it goes. I've spent my entire time on planet Earth, all 14, almost 15 years that I've been alive, in Seattle. Seattle is actually 100 times cooler than you could believe, unless you lived here too. Some people gripe and moan about the rain and the weather, but I love Seattle. I even like the rain. Our house is about a mile from the Seattle Center, home of the Space Needle, Key Arena, where the Sonics play, and the Pacific Science Center, and we're only about a mile and a half from Belltown, the unofficial former grunge capital of the universe. Okay, so in that first page, we've learned quite a few facts that we can write, and they're all going to be complete sentences. So we're going to write, our main character is Sean McDaniel, or Sean McDaniel is the main character in Stuck in Neutral. Start with a capital, end with a period. Sean is almost 15 years old, period. Sean lives in Seattle, period. Sean loves the rain, period. They live about a mile from the Seattle Center, home of the Space Needle, Key Arena, where the Sonics play. Okay? All of those are facts that we can add. And remember, our goal is to get to 50 for each book that we read. So 50 for Stuck in Neutral. And if you do 20 extra, you get 20 extra credit points. I'm the youngest kid in our family, 3 years younger than my sister Cindy and 2 years younger than my brother Paul, who, although I'd hate for them to know it, I admitted it, are pretty cool for a brother and sister. So a couple more facts we could add here. Sean has a sister, Cindy. Sean has a brother, Paul. If you want to, you can add their ages in there. Okay, that's good news, huh? Here's some more. I have this weird, I don't know what you'd call it, ability, gift, power, whatever name you want to give it. The thing is that I can remember everything I ever hear perfectly with total recall. I mean everything perfectly, totally. I don't know of anybody anywhere else who can do this. Most people remember bits and pieces of things that they've heard in life, but I've got it all, every sound ever. He remembers everything he ever hears. This started when I was 3 or 4 years old. At first, I could only remember most of what I heard, but by the time I was 5 years old, everything I heard just stayed in my head. Okay, there's a great fact we can add. Everything he has ever heard stays in his head from the time he was 5. It started when he was 3 or 4, but now he remembers everything. I can remember people talking, TV commercials, every melody I've ever listened to, from boring brain-dead country music to nasty rap lyrics to the theme music from Jeopardy to, well, everything. Lines from movies, overheard conversations that strangers were having in the street like, well, do you still love him or not? I heard one lady say to this another lady while they were waiting for the bus in front of our house, and swoosh came the sound of the bus along the wet road, and its brakes went squeal and eek, and the other lady answered, I don't know, I haven't eaten turkey since he left on Thanksgiving. Okay, there's a literary device that the author uses there with swoosh and squeal and eek. Does anybody remember what it is when you use sounds like that to catch the reader's interest? It's an onomatopoeia. And as a writer, you can use those also as a hook. For all you know, I might remember perfectly what you said to your girlfriend 2 years ago when I overheard you two fighting outside the Orange Julius at Northgate, or what your dad said to you in Champs when you were 10 and you and he were shopping for a baseball mitt. Remember you wanted that Ken Griffey Jr. autographed model, but your dad said it cost too much? He wanted you to buy a cheaper one made in Taiwan. Your dad said, come on, I can write Ken Griffey Jr. right in here. And he pointed at a spot in the pocket of the glove, and you said, can you really do that? And your dad said, has the Pope got a bullet in him? And you both laughed. I'm not making it up. It happened. And if I heard you again even once after all these years, I'd recognize you. I'd remember your voice and the sound of it perfectly. I hope I'm not coming off as conceited here. Okay, conceited is our first vocab word. We're going to add that. Put it under your facts. You're going to have a questions area, and you're going to have a vocabulary area. And conceited is on page 3, and you're going to add that. And that's somebody who's kind of stuck on themselves, kind of arrogant. I am sure I am. I mean, I don't think that my hearing memory is kind of amazing, but it's not like it's made me rich or famous. I just happen to have this one talent, and I know that it makes me gifted and special. Yuck. I hate that word special when it's applied to people, as in he's a very special person. Geez, who isn't? But the other side of people is true too. Everybody has negatives about themselves, stuff that they wish wasn't a part of them. The bad news about us. I could go on about my good news for hours, but you probably want to hear the punchline. My bad news, right? Well, there isn't that much, really. But what's here is pretty wild. First off, my parents got divorced 10 years ago because of me. Okay, that's a good fact we could add. Sean's parents got divorced 10 years ago because of Sean. My being born changed everything for all of us in every way. My dad didn't divorce my mom or my sister Cindy or my brother Paul. He divorced me. That's another good fact. Sean's dad divorced Sean. He couldn't handle my condition, so he had to leave. My condition? Well, that brings us to the guts of my bad news. One bad news deal is that in the eyes of the world, I'm a total retardate. A retard, not retard like you might use the word to tease a friend who just said or did something stupid. I mean a real retard. Real in the same way that total means total, as in total retard. Everybody who knows me, everybody who sees me, anybody who even gets near me would tell you I'm dumb as a rock. Let me illustrate through the wonders of science. Every year, the school district sends out a school psychologist or scientist to test me for an IEP, an individual education plan. And every year since I was 6, the psychologist gives me a bunch of tests, scientifically normed and standardized, which are mainly intelligence tests filled with shapes and colors, square pegs, round holes, and who was George Washington, and what's 2 + 1, And every year I sit here and miss every question, fling the blocks into the air, or drop them all over and smack myself in the eye with one. Then the shrink goes in and gives my mom a number, IQ equals 1.2, or mental age 3 to 4 months, not years. Then the psychologist packs up his scientific garbage and moves on to the next dummy. This has gone on for 8 years now. Every year, year in, year out. Yep, according to the world, I'm dumb as a fence post. I've heard the docs explain why they think I'm so stupid to my parents, and my parents explain it to their friends about 1 trillion times. They think it's because my brain doesn't work. They don't know that is only partially true. End of chapter 1. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to add a couple more facts that you know from this chapter. Every year Sean is tested. Sean scores in the 3 to 4 month range. Other people think Sean is not smart. And then we're going to start working on our autobiography. And so for that, you'll start a new Google Doc, and at the top, you're going to create a new Google Doc that says autobiography at the top of it. And an autobiography is about you. And you'll use the pronoun I. And so you're going to think about things that are unique to yourself. And what are things that you know that make you unique? And so I'd like for you to think about that this afternoon and jot those ideas down, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Have a great evening, Team Alabama, and make sure that you got at least 5 facts today. If you got more than that, 10 or whatever, that's awesome. Thank you.